everybody, it's Chris from the Evermore podcast, Newcastle United podcast and the Evermore YouTube channel. Just back with another Rumour Has It video about players linked to the club this summer, and I think now we've finished signing the centre-halves and the bottom man. I think it's time to look at the attacking options. There's been some developments with Hugo Ekitike. We're going to get stuck in that a little bit as well. It seems to be growing a little bit nasty, a little bit distasteful. So we're going to have a look at that in a second. But just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please remember to click that like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. We've got loads of fresh content coming for you over the next few weeks before the season starts. Pre-season games aren't too far away, so we'll be jumping on, having a bit of a review on that, see how we thought they went and how the lads performed. But yeah, click that button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you don't miss out on any of these videos when they come up. So yeah, just before we get stuck into this player, a little bit on the Hugo Ekitike situation. Obviously, there's been some stories going around now that apparently Ekitike is now said, or he's been quoted as saying, that he wouldn't go anywhere unless it was to Barcelona or Real Madrid. And Craig Hope in the Mail had turned around and said that this is a question of character. And it's interesting because we often talk on the podcast, and our own PK uses the term "no dickheads" policy, which I think, unfortunately for Ekitike, if he has been saying this kind of stuff, chatting this kind of shit, he's kind of fallen into the dickhead policy camp. It really is starting to grow a little bit distasteful, this one. It looks really bad for the player, and it looks really bad for his representatives as well. Newcastle United are clearly going to move on to other options. We've covered a couple of them already. We're going to get stuck into to a player right now that we're looking at reportedly, and he's a hell of a player. I know we're a big fan of him on the podcast. The Lynchman in particular is a massive fan of this lad. Of course, I'm talking about the Swedish international forward, Alexander Isak, who plays for Real Sociedad. Very good player. I think he's caught a lot of people's attention over the years. He's got 9 and 37 for Sweden. He's scored goals right through the level there. He's got 32 goals in 103 games in total for Sociedad. Pace, power. He's great running with the ball. Very skillful. Can hold it up. Can spin a player. Can get in behind. Can pull out wide. A very, very talented player to have in your arsenal. No pun intended there, because Arsenal were apparently after him for a long time. The fact that they're going for Jesus now probably says that they're not interested in this lad anymore. So he's 22 years old, still a young man. He's had a bit of an off season, to be honest. I mean, if you look at his stats from last season, before we look at his individual stats, Mark kind of pulled it up there straight away. You can see the goal per game ratio isn't great. In Mark's radar map there, you can see Callum Wilson's massively ahead of Alexander Isak, even though Isak played 32 games that season, and obviously Wilson was injured again. So yeah, he has gone off the boil a little bit. Maybe a change of league, maybe a change of pace, change of manager might get the best out of him. Like he once had, because there was a time he was scoring goals for fun, but in total he got, and this is across the league, Europa League, and the Copa del Rey, he got 10 goals in 39 games, and 6 of those were in La Liga. So it's not a great return really for a player. And the reported fee is that they're looking for 40 million quid for Isak, and I think 40 million quid for a striker who's last season, not the season just gone, the season before, he had 17 goals, in 44 games. So in total, and 17 of those all came in La Liga. So, he had a much better season then. I think if Sociedad were going to get big money for the lad, that was probably the time to do that and to cash in. But he's obviously had a bit of an off season. He's still a very good player, still very young. And I think Eddie Howe could work wonders with him, especially if he's got the right character and if he can get himself back to where he needs to be. But just looking at some of the positive stats there, you can see his assists. He's very good in terms of his assists. He's 0.12 a game. The beg your pardon, his expected assists, he's good. His actual assists, he's not great, unfortunately. But his dribbling accuracy is very good. He's a very good runner with the ball. All you got to do is type him in on YouTube, watch some of his highlight reels, and he's so quick. He spins. He's got close control. Players bounce off him. Very, very kind of old Ronaldo-esque, the phenom, the R9, or the original Ronaldo, as many people will call him. Obviously not as strong as R9 was, or anywhere near as good yet. I don't know whether Isak could ever get there, and if he does, Christ, he'd be a hell of a player. But he's very, very calm and comfortable at just running at people with pace. Now, if you look at this lad, if he was going to come here, his pass completion, you see there, is quite good as well. He's 73% completion. He's in the 86th percentile. I think this lad could easily play in a front three with Maximin and Callum Wilson, and there would be a hell of a front three with so much pace. It would scare the shit out of the rest of the league, to be honest with you. Callum Wilson's got to be the main striker, the number 9. I think if you look at Isak, I think you could fill in there, which is exactly what we want Ekitike to do. But I think playing him as the main man, unless he rediscovers some form, he's not going to give you the same goal threat as Callum Wilson. But I think he's a fantastic player. I know the Lynchman's a huge fan of him. Being right-footed as well, he would fit in perfectly into a front three there. We're still looking at Diaby potentially playing that front three as well, but he's a bit more expensive at 65 million. Now, the talk doing the rounds is apparently that Sociedad want 40 million, and we are reluctant to pay it because we don't want to push ourselves over the FFP. And if you remember when we did the episode with Kieran Maguire, he was very detailed about that when he was on with Adam, that you've got to be careful that you don't overload the squad with these heavy transfer fees, because they will come and get you. There's no more of this Galactico style, gung-ho, let's go buy the Harlem Globetrotters of football, because you're just not able to do it. So I think, unfortunately, we're paying the price for the tightened regulations now in football, and that's going to prevent us buying, 5, 6, 7, 40 million quid players, 2 or 3 of them in the mix, absolutely. But, I think the FFP regulations that, unfortunately, until we increase the revenue in terms of, the match day revenue, the Champions League or Europa football revenue, finishing higher up with the league revenue, sponsorship revenue, until that increases exponentially, we're not going to be able to front load the squad with loads of quality players. I think, 2 or 3 of them, absolutely, maybe one or 2 of them a window, in terms of, we signed Bruno. We had some really shrewd business in January that kept the cost down. And, even if you look at Botman, we dug our heels in for the cost of Botman as well. So I think a lot of that was FFP as well. So, yeah, I think it is smart by the club to do that. But in terms of Isak, I think he'd be a brilliant player for the club. I think we'd absolutely love him. He can play in that front three, as I said. He could fill in for Callum Wilson as well. So I think it would be a fantastic deal by the club. Maybe they might be able to haggle that 40 million quid down, because he has had a bit of an iffy season, 6 goals, a 40 million quid player and 6 goals a season. I'm not too sure those two things work together in the same sentence, to be honest with you. It's maybe just Sociedad getting a bit greedy, smelling the money. But I think the time to cash in on Alexander Isak was the season before, when he was flying high at 17 goals. And I think Arsenal did sniff around him, and I think they were quoted something stupid like 77 million quid was his release fee or something like that, which obviously Arsenal didn't want to pay. So, yeah, for us, it'd be an interesting move. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. We always try our best to reply. I think he's a good player, and I think he'd be great in the squad if we can get him for, say, maybe mid-30s. Maybe save a bit of that 5-6 million quid on that transfer fee. Maybe boost it up with appearances, like Kieran suggested on the financial fair play episode. Maybe we can do some good business. 22 years old, he's still got a hell of a career ahead of him, I'm sure, and you'll only get better and better. And we'd love to see him get better and better in a black and white shirt. As I mentioned before at the start, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button if you like what we do. We really love doing these little videos. Nice update, bring them to you nice and fast, bit of information. I can't stress enough, it isn't ITK. It's literally just stuff that we see getting linked on social media, newspapers, news outlets, whatever it may be. We see a link to a player, we jump on, we do a video, and we invite you guys to jump in the comments and let us know what you think. So there's no ITK here. We're not claiming to know anything. We're just talking about this guy being linked. Current players, Isak, let us know what you guys think about it. We think he'd be a good player, but time will tell. We'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of strikers linked. I think this Ekitike deal has turned pretty much sour and in the bin. But this is Chris signing off. Let's keep supporting that team of Court United. We'll be back soon with another episode. We'll be back next week with another Evermore, hopefully with a special guest on, which will be awesome. I think a lot of Newcastle fans, certainly ones my age, will be really interested in watching that one, because it should be very nostalgic. But yeah, stick with the channel, guys. Smash the button, hit the bell, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.